Habaragani. I am emanating from the sanctuary of the Greater Open Door Baptist Church. Today is December 26th. This is the first day of Kwanzaa. The customary greeting for Kwanzaa is Habaragani, what's the news? Let me give you a little information about Kwanzaa. Because we are unable to meet as a local body and a fellowship, I am going to just share the basic tenets and principles of Kwanzaa, and hopefully you will be inspired to explore and discover and to take this into your own homes this year since we can't meet as a congregation. We celebrate Kwanzaa as a way to reconnect as the African people of the diaspora. Kwanzaa was initiated or created by Dr. Maulana Karenga in 1966 after the Watts riots in 1965. He felt moved that there needed to be a way systematically for African American people to reconnect with those things that seemed to be lost, that we could reconnect with our greatness, with our history, with our legacy. He studied various African tribes and traditions, and he landed on Kwanzaa. I'm going to give you the basic tenets of what Kwanzaa is. Kwanzaa, the foundational things, there are 7 principles, there are 7 symbols, it is over 7 days, and we're going to look at those things and the significance of each one of those things. The 7 symbols. The first symbol is the straw mat. That is the mat with which the Kwanzaa display is resting. If you have a mat at home, it does not have to be as large as this, but whatever size the straw mat is, this is where your display would start. The straw mat is called the mkeka in Kiswahili. That is the language of Kwanzaa, Kiswahili. The straw mat represents our foundation, our legacy, our traditions. The second symbol is the candle holder, the kinara. The kinara represents the men and women who have gone before, our ancestors. The third symbol is the Mishuma Saba. Those are the 7 candles. You notice that there are 7 candles. The black candle in the middle, 3 flank on the right that are red, and 3 on the left that are green. There is a corresponding principle that goes along with each candle, the lighting of each candle, which I will discuss a little bit later. The fourth symbol is the mazo. This is the vegetables, the fruit, and the nuts. That's called mazo. It symbolizes the results of collective work and responsibility when you think about the harvest. The fifth symbol is the corn. It is referred to as the muhindi or the zabuni in Kiswahili. When you have your Kwanzaa display, there should be an ear of corn for each child that is in the household. If there are no children in your household, you should at least have 1 ear of corn. But you can include your children, your grandchildren, and children at large. The 6th symbol is Kikombe cha Emoja. That is the unity cup. And this is the water of refreshing, the water of life. We will also visit that a little bit later in the presentation. The 7th symbols are the gifts. They're called the zawadi. And this traditionally, even though these are wrapped and appear to be large gifts, these are handmade gifts traditionally that are usually done by the children and given to the elders. There are 2 optional symbols, and we have them here. One is the flag. It is referred to as the bendera. The other is the printed Nguzo Saba, which is the printing of the 7 principles. So those are the symbols of Kwanzaa. The Nguzo Saba consists of 7 principles. First principle is umoja. The second principle is umoja, which means unity. The second principle is kujichagulia, which is self-determination. The third principle is ujima, which is collective work and responsibility. The fourth principle in the Nguzo Saba is ujamaa, collective work and responsibility. The fifth principle is nia, or purpose. The sixth principle is kaumba, or creativity. And the last and seventh principle is imani, which is faith. Now that covers the display and what's here. I would like to say that if you are doing this, this is a rather large display. There is no particular size. The only things that are needed would be the straw mat, the candle holder, candles, the cup, fruits and vegetables. It can be 1 or 2, 1 ear of corn, zwadi if you are sharing gifts, and the 2 alternate, the flag and the printed copy of the principles, which is called the Nguzo Saba. I would suggest that you would go out and do an online search and take a look at the various types of Kwanzaa setup displays so that to give you an idea. Many times people will add, depending on how large the display is, some of their favorite books, African statues, and other things that exude the culture of the African people. Now let's shift gears and kind of talk about the recipe of what you need. These are the items that you need in the recipe, and just the basic format or construct for Kwanzaa includes 5 basic elements. They are, number 1, the ingathering of the people. Number 2, reverence to the Creator and the creation. Number 3 is commemoration of the ancestors. Number 4, commitment and recommitment to the ideals, and that's IDEALS, ideals. And number 5, the celebration of the good. Even though that sounds like a mouthful, the ingathering is just the people who come. You can do this around your table for dinner. The whole purpose is to discuss the principle of the day. So the ingathering of the people, the creation, to honor and reverence the Creator and the creation. In reverencing the Creator, that could be prayer, that could be meditation, that could be praise and thanksgiving. Reverence of the creation is ideally going back, repairing old relationships, getting rid of grudges, those types of things, cleaning up those things, honoring all life. The commemoration of the ancestors, I don't have a plant here, but many of you are familiar with the term libation. In the commemoration of the ancestors, water would be placed in the unity cup, the kikombe, cha, and moja, and as each affirmation or each name would be spoken or read, then water would be placed in our imaginary plant here. So there is no structure really to the libations. You can honor whomever you will. Sometimes a traditional libation might be to the people that died in the transatlantic slave trade or coming over from Africa to the United States. And what would happen would be, you'd say, for those souls that were lost at sea, we pour libations. The libations would be poured, the response would be, Oshe, Ashe. You can do the names of your ancestors, for your parents, for your grandparents, for iconic figures who've gone on, like Dr. King or Malcolm X, whoever you would want to commemorate who is not here with us. You say their names, and the response is Ashe. The recommitment to the ideals is speaking of the 7 principles. So on the first night of Kwanzaa, we would light the first candle, which is the black candle, which is Umoja. And today being the 26th, the way this would transpire would be with your family, with your neighbors, whoever is in the gathering with you, in that gathering, you would talk about the principles of the day. The principle of today is Umoja. I want to read you specifically, and when I am reading what these principles mean, I am reading the meaning from the originator of Kwanzaa. This is taken from Dr. Karanga's book, Kwanzaa, an African American Holiday. Umoja, unity. To strive for and maintain unity in the family, community, nation, and race. So today on the 26th, this would be the principle that we would talk about, unity. On the 27th, we would go to the second candle, and we would go to the right to the first red candle. On the second day of Kwanzaa, that principle is Kuji Chagalia. The definition of Kuji Chagalia, self-determination, to define ourselves, name ourselves, create for ourselves, and speak for ourselves, instead of being defined and named and created and spoken for by others. On the third night of Kwanzaa, you light the first green candle. The principle of the day is Ujima, collective work and responsibility, to build and to maintain our community together and make our sisters and brothers' problems our own, and to help solve them together, Ujima. On the fourth night of Kwanzaa, we go back to the red candles. We light the second red candle. The principle of the day is Ujamaa, cooperative economics, to build and maintain our own stores, shops, and other businesses, and to profit from them, Ujamaa. On the fifth day, we light the second green candle. The principle for the fifth night of Kwanzaa is Nia, or purpose. To make our collective vocation and the building and the developing of our community in order to restore our people back to their traditional greatness. On the sixth night of Kwanzaa, we light the third red candle. The principle is Kuumba. Kuumba means creativity, to do always as much as we can in the way that we can in order to leave our community more beautiful and beneficial than when we inherited it. Kuumba, creativity. The final night of Kwanzaa and the seventh principle is Imani, and that stands for faith. to believe with all of our heart in our people, our parents, our teachers, our leaders, and the righteousness and victory of the struggle. Those are the 7 principles known as the Nguzo, collectively called the Nguzo Saba. Now, we have talked about all of the symbols of Kwanzaa. We've talked about the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. Now what you do, just like you do with the recipe, you take it and you make it yours. You don't have to have, like I said before, the candle holders or the kinara can be one that was made, someone made this for our congregation. You can have 1 ear of corn, 20 ears of corn. You can have gifts or no gifts. And ideally, we want the gifts to be made by the children and given to the elders. One other thing that I'd like to also mention is that this is being held, Kwanzaa is being held from December 26th through January 1st. And this particular date was chosen by Dr. Karanga to coincide with the Zulu Nation's harvest. And so that is something that is good to know. Also, the word Kwanzaa means first. Kwanzaa comes from the phrase Matunda ya Kwanzaa, first fruits. Kwanzaa is actually spelled with 1 A. This celebration, we use 2 A's. Dr. Karanga indicated that on the first Kwanzaa celebration that there were 7 children there, and each child wanted a letter. And Kwanzaa only had 6, and he added that additional A. Sometimes you will hear or see in your readings that the additional A was added to strengthen the number 7 in the whole display. That may have been, but if you go back to some of his recordings, he says initially that was why the second A was there. These are the symbols, the principles of Kwanzaa. I'm going to repeat them in the Kiswahili just in your hearing. With the symbols, the mat, the mkeka, the candle holder, the kinara, the candles, the mishumu saba, the crops, the fruits and vegetables, the mazo, the corn, the muhindi, also called zabuni, the gifts, the zawadi, the kikumbe cha emoja, which is the cup of unity, the Nguzo Saba, which is one of the alternate or optional, which is the printed or displayed copy of all 7 principles, and the Bendera, which is the flag. The 7 principles: first night, umoja; second night, kujichagulia, self-determination, and emoja is unity; second night, self-determination; third night, ujima, collective work and responsibility; fourth night, cooperative economics; fifth night, nia, purpose; sixth night, kuumba, creativity; and the 7th night, imani, faith. This concludes the overview of the Kwanzaa celebration. I hope you just take this, look at it, discover what you can do with it, make it yours, and we will see you next year. One parting message rather. At the end of the Kwanzaa celebrations, there are 7 harambes. You're pulling up and pulling down everything that you need moving forward for strength and for power. So we would say, harambe, 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 harambe. You hold the 7th. The news today, the 26th, is umoja. Go in peace and blessings.
Praise him, praise him, praise him, praise him. Jesus, blessed Savior, say, praise him. Come on and lift your voice and say it. Praise him. Come on, catch a whole church and say it. Praise